Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a tutorial for multicolored stamping. And this can be tricky if you want different colors on a single stamp and maybe you don't want to cut apart the stamp. But I'm going to show you a way that I did it with this stamp. This is from Technique Junkies, and I will have information at the end of the video for a coupon code where you can save 10% on the stamp. But anyhow, I'm going to use some Distress Oxide inks. Now, right now I'm doing this project on white paper. I'm going to start with the lightest color, and I've got this little tiny brush. I actually got the brush in a box of Happy Mail from a subscriber. So thank you so much to Jen for the Happy Mail. And this brush, I don't know where it came from. I actually don't think that it's a craft brush. It said makeup brush on it. So I don't really have any information for where you can get a brush, but it's super skinny. It looks a lot like the brushes you've seen before. And I'm just brushing on the color on the individual places on the stamp. That is the whole thing. It's super, super easy. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to be a little bit careful. The trick, though, this is the tutorial part of the video, is to start with the lightest color and then work your way into your darkest color. Now, also, I would recommend using oxide inks only because you can use any ink you have, but the fact that these have a pigment dye ink hybrid like quality, the color is just really pronounced and it works really well on this red rubber stamp. So I go in with each color. I've got a microfiber cloth that I really just scrub off the color in between before I change colors. This is the frayed burlap, and I'm just trying to get the trunk of the little palm tree there. And it's really pretty easy to do. The hardest part is keeping your brush clean, I think. So you saw me with a little bit of stamp cleaner. Now that's actually not the stamp cleaner that's in the bottle. I make my own stamp cleaner because I go through a lot of it. So you'll see me go crazy and clean the brush and the stamp and all that. So I really like doing this technique, and when I saw this stamp, I just loved it so much. But the whole thought of trying to do it in you could do it in a gradient, you could do it like an ombre effect, sort of with the same way, just brushing right on. And do you know what this reminds me of? Remember back in the day, like when we first started stamping and you learned about like using the markers, and some people might, I think that's still a thing, where you can color in on the stamp. I just don't have that kind of markers. My markers are alcohol markers. So I tried this with gelatos and it looked kind of just strange, just not the way I was picturing it in my head. But the oxide inks really give a really nice crisp image. And now you can see I worked my way up, and now I'm going to use I think that might be broken china that I'm using for the blue. And like I said in the beginning, I know it's hard to see on the white, but you could see that as I go darker, then you can see it a little bit better. Definitely you're going to need a stamping platform for this technique. I don't really know how you would do it otherwise, but it doesn't have to be any stamp platform in particular. Okay, now what I did there was I actually, as I was putting the blue on, I got some blue on an area of the stamp that I didn't want to stamp blue. So instead of trying to clean it off, I just put a piece of paper down. I think I do it one other time too, so you'll see me do it again. But it's just, instead of trying to clean the stamp and make it perfect, I just covered up on the paper just with a scrap piece of something so that it wouldn't stamp in a place I didn't want it to. I'm not being real careful. You could see in terms of like I didn't pre-cut my card panel. I didn't do all that stuff. I just figured I'd do it later. I'm cleaning off my brush really, really, really good right now to get that oxide ink off it. And now I think I have one more ink color to go, and this is I want to say Mode Lawn. It's regular Distress ink just because I didn't have it in an oxide ink. color, but it works just fine. There you can see I got some green on a part of the stamp I didn't want, so I just used the piece of paper to just cover up. And that works out just fine. Otherwise, I'd get just color everywhere, you know. Look how nice it looks. I really like that a lot. So I'm going to use these dies. I don't know where they came from. I've had them for a really long time, just a bunch of little rectangles with a stitch. So I thought I'm going to use one to cut out that image, and then I will use a larger one to cut out like a panel over top before I close up shop. Sometimes I just throw my microfiber cloth in the stamping platform and set it aside, but this time I was just afraid I was going to get an elbow or a paper or something. I just didn't want that ink wet everywhere, because that oxide ink, that stays a little bit moist for a while. So yeah, my little recipe for my stamping, my stamp cleaner, I'm pretty sure I got from the Frugal Crafter, and I will see if I can find her video. And I've been using it for years. It's a really good video. Okay, so I'm going to die cut this out, but I want to make mention that when I'm lining this up, I am lining up the stamp or the die based on that orange part that says "She Gives Me." That, you see that orange banner looking part? That's what I'm eyeballing, the straight line part of the die, because I didn't center it on the paper. I just stamped it. So now if I line it up with something that I know is straight, that orange banner that I made, then I know that the whole thing will come out straight. See what I mean? That orange banner part is the part that has the straight bottom edge. So that's what I lined it up with. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It's actually a little bit off-center, to be honest, to the left now that I'm looking at it. But so the pattern paper I'm going to use is called Sea Stories, and it's from Craft O'Clock. I love it. It just completely fits the mood of the card that I was trying to make. I like this was a scrap I had from another project, so I thought I'd use both of the sides of this one scrap. One is the sort of the sea side, and the other is the wood grain side. Now stay tuned to the end, because this paper is available at the Sandpaper Road shop, and I also have a coupon code from just my YouTube audience as well for shopping at Sandpaper Road. Lots of Craft O'Clock paper to choose from in there. And it comes from Poland. So if you live in the USA, it's not something typical we see here. So here I'm just going to eyeball the, well, I was having some problems because I wanted this to be able to fit, and I have little marks that I put in my paper trimmer to make my life easy, but they weren't making my life easy. I don't understand what my problem was. I just couldn't, I don't know. It just wasn't doing it for me. So I just kind of forgot about the marks and just did my own thing. And sometimes, I don't know if you're like this, but you know, when you're working with a standard typical size card, for me, sometimes I feel a little limited. So sometimes I just scrap the whole thing of measurements of cards and make my own size and make my own envelope, and just because maybe I don't want a card that size. Of course, I decided to go ahead and make it that size. So I'm using a basic piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock and cutting it in half, scoring right down the middle, making 2 card bases. And it's just cardstock I had in my stash. I'm pretty sure it's from Stampin' Up. And I like the look of this card base. The colors. I really like the colors. That bottom panel was just giving me some trouble. I just couldn't make it do what I wanted it to do size-wise. I don't know. Now I laid that down. I didn't mean to angle it like that. And then when I came back to it, because I think I was finding my little sequin pack, when I came back to it, I thought, ooh, that looks kind of good. So then I ended up thinking that I was going to use that little angle. See how the green middle panel is sort of angled like that. I actually didn't really mean to do that. I was just laying it down and it looks good. So I sort of went with it. These are some I think they're like shaker sequins, and I got them from Creekbank Creations, and they're really nice. And I totally have a confession to make. I have not used double-sided foam tape or double-sided foam in like the longest time. I have been using scrap cardboard. I don't know why. It just seemed quicker and cheaper. And I mean, I'm going to need foam tape eventually I'm going to need it for shaker cards and things like that. But for now, I've just been using scrap cardboard. So it's not hurting anything. And I always have lots of scrap cardboard. So using some Scor tape, this is my favorite double-sided tape. I really like it a lot. It holds really well. And what I thought I'd do is line up the white stamped panel with the wood panel and then make that middle piece of green sort of angled, but in my mind I'm going to pretend it's not even there. You'll see what I mean in a second. Now I'm using my favorite liquid glue. This is Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive. I love it, love it. It kind of reminds me of that Tombow Mono glue with the green top if you use that, but I like the Nuvo even better than that. So while that's drying, I have an acrylic block sitting on top, and I'm just going to use some Scor tape to put my bottom panel on. Although if you do want to ink around the edges, make sure you do that beforehand because it's really hard to do after. So I thought I would do some black around the outside just to make it pop just a little bit. Sort of the spur of the moment decision there. And now my tape's already there. This is in real time. I mean, I sped up the video just to make your viewing a little bit easier, but I didn't have to cut the video at all. So there you can see how I'm lining up the white stamped panel with the wood panel that's on the card already. I'm pretending that green panel is not even there. You almost have to zone your eyes out. And I'm burnishing that down just a little bit. Now take a look. See the white and then lined up with the wood on the outside. That's a nice look for me. I like that. Now this sequin pack has these little tiny stars. They're almost clear, but just a shade above clear, whatever that means. And I have a little picky-uppy sticky tool thing. And I'm just using the tiniest dot of the glue, putting 3 little stars down. That really makes it nice. It's just nice. I don't know how else to, it's not too much. Because I really wanted the focus to be the stamping and the coloring. I have these little seashell gold things. I really want to use them bad, and they didn't look good on this card. But the card needed something else, and then all of a sudden I remembered, oh my goodness, I have the greatest thing. I put down a little piece of paper, and what am I going to do? I know what I was going to do. I was going to do some paint spatter. That's what I was going to do. And then all of a sudden, right then and there, I remembered that I had the greatest thing. I had this, it's called Mud Puddles, and it's beach sand type. It's like a faux beach sand. And I got it from Creekbank Creations, and it's absolutely fantastic for your beach pages and your beach projects and cards and everything. So I'm just doing a little light bit of the Nuvo liquid adhesive there. I'm not trying to go too crazy with smearing it. It dries pretty quick, but just flatten out the glue lines a little bit. Put a little scrap paper under there and sprinkle it and just treat it like how you would glitter, except that it's sand. And it's just absolutely perfect. It just gives a little bit of a texture detail on the bottom. That is exactly what I wanted. So perfect. I did not want to take away from that coloring of the card, but it just needed one more detail, and I love it. I love the way it looks. So nice. Look at that. Really great. Now let me show you how it looks. Oh, I had to do a little line on the outside. Let me show you how this looks here when I stamped it on black. It's the same exact oxide colors. I used paper from Echo Park, a different color card base, but doesn't that look really good? Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick look at the products that I used today, along with some coupon codes you can take advantage of just for watching this video. Here is the stamp from Technique Junkies. The coupon code is TJ10Aaron, and you'll get 10% off there at Technique Junkies. Here's a look at some of the other supplies that I used. I'll put them in the description box below, though, to make your life a little bit easier. As a special thanks for watching this video, here's a coupon code for 15% off at the Sandpaper Road shop. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.